Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 The Farmer Insurance Open. This is my top plays show. I'm going to dive into all the fun details, and I thank you very much for spending some time with me. If you are new, I go into a kind of a deep dive into all these different models, all the different things that we can think of that could point us in the right direction. And if you've been here before, it's going to be some of the same information, but maybe in a few new things I have thrown in. So let's do this. So just real quick, I did put out a course preview show yesterday, but just the quick highlights. We are, of course, still on the West Coast, Torrey Pines. They're going to play 2 days starting on the north, 2 days on the south. It's funny, I heard the Golf Channel, and they were stating something about playing 3 days on the south, but everything that I've seen, it's 2 days, 2 days. So it's going to be interesting where there's going to be some guys come, Friday leaderboard that I believe will not be there come Sunday. We are looking and going to focus on the guys that can do well on the south course because they are very different courses from a distance perspective and from, of course, a greens perspective. The north being bent grass, which rolls a little truer, and of course the south being POA, which it's a different type of surface that if you're not used to it and you aren't mentally good with it, it could cause some problems. And what I mean by that is typically POA in the afternoon will, after it's been cut in the morning, will start to grow up in different patches and send your balls in different directions, and it can just get very frustrating. I think that's about it. Average cut line is 1 under. There was the 5 under 2019. And the only other note that I will bring out is if you do have PGA Live, if you don't, I would check it out. Also, actually, I never mentioned this, but if you are on Twitter, you get to watch a free hour or hour and a half of coverage of the tournament in the morning. So like if you turn on, I think, this is on, I would guess around 9 o'clock our time, Eastern time. You should get about 90 minutes of free coverage. So just something to check out. Okay, let's get into this. So what I do is I run a bunch of different models. We're looking for correlation from all these different areas that I'm running. The first one that I do is recent form. I am looking, used to do 36 rounds. I wanted to kind of shrink that and give even a more narrow picture. So I have put it to 24 rounds. So this is the past 24 rounds. And it's all different for these guys. Some guys, might have not played since Tournament of Champions, might not have played since the Masters. But most of these guys we've seen now. The keystroke category areas that I've selected, which I think from everything I can glean that they're going to need to be successful here is they are going to have to be able to hit the ball a bit of distance. We are looking at almost 7,800 yards on the south course. They need to hit fairways, and the fairways are tough to hit, but we are looking guys that have some accuracy. Of course, they got to hit the greens, strong on approach, specifically from 175 to 200. Good ball striking. That means the guys that do it well from pretty much tee to green. And putting is going to be a huge factor here. 3-putt avoidance. These are some larger greens, but that is something that kept showing up. And then, of course, how close can they get to the pin from 200 yards out? A lot of par 4s from 450 to 500. Again, this is all focused on the south course, and they're going to need to score on the par 4. So, they need to make the pars on the tough par 4s and tough par 3s and make their hay on the par 5s. And then, of course, there's some sand they're going to need to get up and down from. And then scrambling, there's going to be a bit of that because guys are going to miss these fairways. And, they're going to need to be able to get up and down. So with that said, no shocker. John Rahm actually in all of the different models that I run that I'm going to show you popped up, I think, on every one. Corey Connor. So the guys that are highlighted are 2 things. They show up in multiple areas, and they're also who I think their game fits them here. They all might have a little difference. So if you look at Corey and Emiliano, I think, amazing ball strikers from tee to green. It's just when they get on the greens and putting could be where they typically downfall. Jason Kokrak can have distance, but can also play well on shorter courses, has proven that. And then Carlos Ortiz, I think it was interesting. There's some correlation courses that we'll talk about that I'm going to use when we go through these guys in deeper analysis. But, he was showing up also as a good fit. So history at Torrey Pines South, again, I'm not, even on the North course, they don't even pull shot link data. So I can't even, you could see like fairways gain and green and reg, and there's a few different areas that we could see, but I just, again, what our focus needs to be is if they do well on the South course and are fit to play well on the South course, they are going to do well on the North course. Again, as I mentioned, Charlie Hoffman pops up quite a few different areas, but we do know that he withdrew, and it had to be enough of an injury that would pull someone out of being in contention, on Saturday. So that's a little bit worrisome. It's something that we'll have to keep an eye on and see, what goes on as the days go forward. Adam Scott, of course, is and has been an elite ball striker. It's just, what he does with the putter. Patrick Reed is an interesting play, even though I know he missed the cut recently, but, that was due to, one really kind of blow up hole and just kind of lost it from there. Okay, Griot pops up. History at comp courses. So this is courses like Bethpage Black, where they played a couple FedEx events in the past. They played the PGA Championship there in 2019. You got Riviera, you got Bay Hill, you got the Club de Golf Chapultepec, which they played at WGC Mexico. That's some of the courses we're going to be looking at that fit. And that, when I say that, that's clicking on typically POA, over 7,400 yards, hitting fairways is difficult. So that's some of the filters that I put in. And then we need to find elite ball strikers. This is literally focusing right here on the ball striking. So you can see the top 20 guys for that. Of course, Griot comes up. Luke List, who I think is interesting. We're going to look a little more at Luke. I always think of him, and I mentioned this in previous shows, a lot like Siwoo Kim, who, he's always been an elite ball striker from tee to green, getting there just typically around the greens, and the putting is what can typically kill Luke. But he's had some success at these kind of courses, and we'll look into that. Kind of already mentioned all these guys. Of course, you can look at, there's other guys. I like Bubba. I think Gary's interesting. That's why I'm showing you all these, so you can, also make your own kind of views on what you see. And then elite distance and accuracy. So I wanted to do this. This is guys that, drive the ball very long, but also hit the fairways more often than not. And again, you got the Rahm, you got the Connors, you got Luke, Kokrak, Emiliano. I think English, if you start to look at some of the courses where he's had success, it doesn't really fit exactly for this. I think he had a playoff here that he lost a while back. So again, he's in great form, but I'm not really sure I'm going to be on him, but I think, the Cam Davis, who's in good recent form, looks interesting. You got Champ, who's had success here in the past one, I believe it was 2018. But, his form is not where it was, but you just never know, right? They can flick a switch. And then I think, we got two more. And then I wanted to look at guys who were elite that could, from striking the ball 175 to 200, so proximity to the pin. Funny enough, Tyler Duncan pops up, but that's only 7 rounds. So that's something you also have to look at because the filters are still on. So then what I did here, just so you know, I also turned on higher rough because, if you're not hitting the fairways, you still got to get it close to the pin from this distance and some decent rough. Not that I think that the South course, what I've heard is it's not, already set up for the U.S. Open that's coming in June, but they still have rough there. And in past, it shows that. But is it U.S. Open rough? No. But again, Ron popped up. I think there was anybody that I kind of looked at even more. Doug Gim's a little interesting. He showed up in a few different areas. Of course, Bubba again, which I think I had him highlighted. Maybe I didn't, but I should have because he showed up in a lot of different areas. We're going to look at him a little deeper. And then elite POA putters. So this is literally just looking at who has the best past performance on splits between POA, Bent, and Bermuda. And Louis comes up, which he's an interesting play. Always does well at the tougher events. I don't know if he's ever actually won on American soil, but you just track back through the majors and any big name tournaments, and he shows up. And so he's someone else that we have to. I didn't do a deep dive on him, but it's someone I probably need to look at a little closer. I also highlighted just Wyndham Clark because he does have, I believe, of course, he's solid on POA, and I think his game kind of tends to lend here, but he'll be someone I dive into more on my sleeper picks. Even Snedeker, of course, we know his past history here as well. He's done very well here, but his game is just not where it was, and his putter is not where it was. So, you know, the main things that Brent, from a putting perspective, it just hasn't been where it is. Okay. Let's go jump into some details. And so I just want to also tell you, I am going to go through after this and then highlight what I'm doing. Is a little different. I'm putting the guys, and I don't care about where their price is at. I'm putting the guys that I think are going to finish top 10. Then I'm putting the guys that are going to finish top 20, and then the guys that are going to finish top 30. That's how I'm doing my plays. You can use that from a betting perspective. So if you are, you know, want to bet on top 10 finish, top 20 finish, top 30 finish, of course they have that. And then, but also these are your guys that you can, of course, use in DFS. And of course, you know, number one is Jon Rahm, and everything just checks the box. Now, of course, you know that he withdrew due to some kind of a back issue from the Amex, but everything I've heard is that he was fine. It was something that was a little bit of a twinge, and he made the decision, even though he's had great, you know, past results at the American Express, that he wanted to save himself for this tournament. Probably a little bit due to his, you know, missing an eagle putt at the 18th on Sunday and to not overtake Leishman. So I think he's, but of course, recent results, Tournament of Champions, 7th, Masters, 7th, Zozo, a 2nd, CJ Cup. He's just been in elite form. Tournament history, as I mentioned, he came in 2nd and he won here in 2017. And then if we click on him and we look, he likes putting on POA. And that is shown over and over, and he can play in some wind. And we're going to talk about the weather. There was some weather on Monday, and I don't want to, you know, we'll get into that after. But you can see his stroke gain analysis just off the charts, just keeps going up like a good stock. All green across the board on all shot gain categories over his 92 tournaments he's ever played. And then, as I mentioned, the tournaments that and courses that I wanted to look at, I think Genesis, which is played at Riviera, is a good comp course to look at. He's had, you know, good past history at the Genesis. And you also got Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill, which I guess he has not ever played in. Not a Florida guy. So nothing at Arnold. The API at Bay Hill. Let's see, WGC Mexico. So again, this is a course that I think comps out well. I don't know if they have POA here, but from everything else I could glean, it looks like a really good comp course. This Golf Day Chapultepec. Say that 5 times. So it's going to be fun. And then also, I think that if you went by, you know, closest courses that match up to Torrey Pines South, is Bethpage Black. From a POA standpoint, from a distance standpoint. Problem is they don't play tournaments there every year. Oh, and that is something I will show. I got to get into that real quick. There was a couple more slides I needed to show you. But anyways, so we look at the PGA, and we're looking specifically at 2019. That's where they played at Bethpage Black. He missed a cut there. But yeah, still everything else is super positive. I apologize, but I want to jump back to this. I wanted to show 2 more things before we were getting into the deep analysis. So what I also did, because of Bethpage Black is like a perfect comp course from distance, you know, the greens, the rough, everything, except it's not on the water. Of course, it's in New York. But neither here or there. I just thought it was interesting to go look at past. So this is the 2019 PGA Championship. Of course, Koepka won it. You know, you had DJ, Cantlay. So right there, it just shows you elite ball strikers, especially from a distance. Even Jordan Spieth, which, you know, I had totally forgot that Jordan had a T3 there. And he is in the field. So that's a little interesting from, you know, and there's some other reasons why I think Jordan is not always a bad play, especially for showdown purposes. If you're playing a showdown tournament, that's a 1-day tournament. But Luke List, you know, popped up here, and I already kind of mentioned Luke as an interesting play. Of course, it's all about the putter. Of course, Adam Scott popped up here again, and then Gary Woodland. Again, you know, we just saw some recent form from Gary where it looks like he's, you know, maybe not 100%, but he is definitely at least being making cuts. And, you know, I think he had a top top 15 finish at the Amex. So kind of interesting. And then also coming up in 2021, so this year, there will be a Barclays Fedex event, and it will be held, as far as I understand, I think at Bethpage. Yes, it will. But this was back in 2016. So this is a little older, but again, just some reference points, some information for you. Patrick Reed won back here in 2016. I think it's, works well for his game. You got Griot popped in with a T2. Of course, Jason Day. So you're seeing some overlay people that have had success at the Farmers, / Torrey Pines, South Course. Woodland pops up again. Scott pops up again. Charlie Hoffman, as I mentioned, is kind of interesting. Again, we just don't know with the back. So anyways, I wanted to show that before I went into super deep dive. Okay. All right, we did Rahm. Let's go and take a look at Rory. So, of course, Rory, and like I said, I am going to get into some, I don't know, maybe not some mainstream picks, but, I got to call it the way I see it. And yes, I'm a Rory fan, but the guy just, everything from that is pointing in a direction, he should have a nice, top 10 finish here. So, of course, we've seen him at the Masters. Was the last time we saw him here. He just played the Abu Dhabi Championship this past weekend in Europe and had a third-place finish. Looks really good. In a pretty decent field. Terrell Hatton won it. Fleetwood was up there. Of course, his past history here, better than 2 top 5s. So that looks really good. If we go in and start to look at some further information about Rory, his favorite surface shows up as as Bermuda, but POA is positive. Of course, can play in some wind. He's a European player. Same thing with Rahm. Stroke gain just keeps going up, up, up. Everything is green except, he had a little issues around the green back here, and then approach, which that was the most shocking thing when he started to have some issues with the approach irons, but I'm thinking he's got that figured out. He's had quite a bit of time. Of course, as we said, tournament history over the past, the FedEx, maybe wasn't what he was all hoping to be, but made it a little better at the Tour Championship. All right, so let's go take a look at Genesis. He had a 5th place, a 4th place, 2 20s. Again, that's at Riviera, good comp course. We're going to look at the Arnold Palmer, elite at Arnold Palmer again, and that is Bay Hill. And then WGC Mexico. Again, I mean, everything just looks really good on that front. And then also the Houston Open. I don't know if we looked at that. He doesn't have anything relevant there, but I think that's another course we can look at. And then we look at the PGA in 2019. He ended up 8th. Of course, I think the closest comp course that we have, which is Bethpage Black. Rory looks really good. Now, Xander, if you look at Xander, of course, recent form, we know is solid. Does well in these type of events. Again, I kind of call it a mini major. Some people might not look at it that way. The Players is the 5th major, but with the field and the toughness of this course, it's going to take elite skills to come out on top. But if you look at his tournament history here at the Farmers, not great. He had a T25, so that made me a little hesitant trying to figure out, why is that? And so if we go jump in, he's a great putter on POA. It's actually showing pretty much is a little better than even bent, just a hair, or I guess equal. What was I saying? 37. Yeah, I mean they're almost dead even. But maybe some wind, shows that under windy conditions, maybe not the best. Of course, his stroke gain analysis just keeps going up, 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 all green. And let's go dive into some details. So let's look at the Genesis. He had a 23rd, a 15th, and a 9th. At the Arnold, played there once last year, had a 24th, pretty solid. The WGC Mexico, 14th, 14th, and 18th, so all good there. And we look at the Houston, never played. Let's check on her shell. Sometimes it doesn't. Nope. Okay, never played at that event. And then let's look at the PGA 2019. He had a 16th finish. So again, I don't know why he's not had success here. Everything tells me he should have success here. And, I'm thinking maybe ownership. Well, what is his ownership right now? Saying 11%. So I think, people are going to tend when they see this kind of tournament history, maybe fade away a little bit from him. So you know, from that side, I like everything I see there. All right, Patrick Reed. Of course, you know, he had the recent miscut at the Amex, but again, if you listen to my kind of recap on that, you know, he was playing well. I think it was 3 or 4 under after the first round. Second round, he had that, you know, triple bogey. It kind of threw him in a tailspin. He just never recovered. And there was quite a few guys that happened to. So I'm not so worried about that. The rest of it, you know, and you can literally look at Augusta. Augusta from a distance standpoint, you know, it's a long track, but you know, I don't think there's a lot of similarities on how Augusta plays comparative. So I didn't use that as a comp course, just purely distance. Of course, different greens. I think you have to shape the ball a lot more at the Masters than you do at this course. You just have to be, you know, a little more accurate. You got a lot more elevation here. Okay, let's take just a quick look at Reed. What do I like? So, of course, positive putter on Pga. Same thing, stroke gain on the way up. Everything's green except, you know, his last 5 is the approach, which makes me a little concerned. I mean, it's not losing strokes, but he's not gaining. Let's take a look at Genesis. So, you know, a couple 50 places, so not the best, but, you know, at least it wasn't cuts. The Arnold Palmer, he had a 15th last year, a 50th, a 7th, a 52nd. Let's take a look at WGC Mexico. He actually won in 2020, which I don't know if that was his only win last year, but, you know, good tournament and a good, like I said, a good course fit. And then let's take a look at the PGA 2019. He missed a cut. So, like I said, all in all, you know, there could be some question marks about Patrick, but I think I'm definitely going to take a stab on him. And I think, again, let's see what his ownership looks like just right now. Again, less than 10%. So I think he's a guy that, you know, maybe not a lot of guys are going to be on. All right, Hideki. You know, not the, I don't know. I mean, not terrible form, but, you know, recent form has been pretty decent. That Tournament of Champions, that was kind of rough. That's almost like last place. And, you know, if you listen to me quite a bit, I'm not always on Hideki by any stretch. But I just think this suits him well. It's just all about the putter, what he can do there. So let's, I apologize. I didn't show. So his past tournament history is pretty decent. He had a T3 in 2019. I just think when I think of someone that has to strike the ball well off the tee and, you know, and the long approach, I think of Hideki. It's just, again, we all know the putter. It all comes down to that. But if you look from splits, you know, you can see the issues, but he's actually very, very, very slightly positive on Pga. So that I kind of liked. Again, stroke gain analysis going up. Of course, putter is the only red area. We kind of discussed that. And then we go look at some comp courses that we looked at. So the Genesis, a 5th, a 9th, 11th, a 4th. He had 1 miscut in 2017. Of course, at Riviera. The Arnold Palmer's made a cut every time. Beth's was a 6th place. We look at WGC Mexico. He had a 6th place in 2020. Let's take a quick look at the Houston Open. This year he had a 2nd place, and that was pretty recent, right? That was a Vivint Houston Open. Carlos Ortiz actually won it, hence one of the guys that I'm also targeting. And then you got the PGA Championship. He had a 16th at Bethpage Black, which is good. So everything's, you know, again, a lot of positive signs. And that's, again, everything that I do is look at everything. We're always going off historical information, but at least we're looking at every piece of historical information that we can glean that would point us in a direction of this guy should have success here. I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. I'm just almost re-educating myself on that. All right, Bubba Watson. Again, we haven't seen Bubba for a while. So, yeah, it's been since the Masters. But, you know, was playing really well. Now, the Masters wasn't that great. But, you know, as you can see at the Zozo CJ Cup, some tough fields, no-cut events, did well. Did pretty well in the Fedex. So he was in really good form coming in. His past, you know, he won here in 2011. But it's had real positive results at the Farmers. I like all that, of course. He actually, you know, and that's where he was struggling with a little bit, was with the putter recent, you know, over the last, I don't know, a few rounds. But that he's positive here. That I like that. He can play in the wind, and we're going to talk about that later. Stroke gain is all going on the way up. Of course, they said the putter is where he was struggling, you know, over his whole career has been on and off. He's either super hot or super not. let's see some comp courses at the Genesis. So he missed the cut there, but he's won there 3 times and at a 14th and a 15th. So always remember when it comes to the Riviera and the Genesis, Tiger can never win there, but Bubba loves it. So you can put that as a little side note. The Arnold Palmer got a bit of history. You know, he miscut recently, but, you know, he had a 4th, a 14th, a 17th. Definitely some decent history there. WGC Mexico, best finish was a 9th in 2018, but had an 18th last year. Just for shits and giggles, Houston Open, that's a while back, so I'm not even going to worry about that. And let's go look at the PGA. Oops. 2019 miscut. So it is what it is, but again, I like a lot of things that I see there from a comp course perspective. All right, Mr. Leishman, of course, I think if you'd ask people or myself, I don't even know, a few months back, would I ever play Leishman again? It was looking like no way possible. And you could see his stroking really took a waxing because the guy who just totally lost his game. But of course, he's shown recent form. You know, it kind of really started at the Masters. He was dead last at the Zozo. That's when we really saw it in full form of whatever was going on. And I never did hear if it was an injury or who knows. I don't know what happened. But, you know, he did have the cut at OHL, but that's, you know, it's a different track, right? I mean, these, you know, I think he's shown, of course, you know, 1 year last year, he's had an 8th, 20. He likes these greens. And I don't even think Pga is a positive putting surface for him, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's not. But that shows you, I mean, this isn't the end all be all, you know, like I said, it does give you a little bit of insights, but as you see, you know, if the guy has a hot putter and he's just seeing the lines and things are dropping and, you know, he's going to win. You can see stroking where, you know, it started to dip, but it was on the way back up. And he's, you know, when he's on, he's an elite ball striker, great with the long irons. Let's take a look at Genesis. So he had a 4th and a 5th there in the past. The recent was a 43rd. If we look at the Arnold Palmer, he had a 2nd. So that was like, you know, he actually came out not too bad in that 2020 season. I think it was one of his best finishes. But he's also won there. He's at a 7th. So, you know, again, that course, Bay Hill, something to note. WC Mexico, you know, made a cut every time. Nothing to get too excited about. Just look at the Houston. He hasn't played there for a while. And let's look at the PGA in 2019. Missed a cut. If this all goes the way of 2019, Bethpage Black, as you can see, this could be a problem. But, you know, the short of it is, like I said, everything else I like. But I just think that's kind of funny. A few of the guys I looked at have not done so well at Bethpage Black. All right. Cam Smith. You know, we all know great form. You know, it's kind of faltered a little bit back with that Sony appearance. But, you know, I think Cam gets up for the tougher tracks. His tournament history here, he's had a T9. He's made the cut 4 out of 5 times. But what did I like about Cam Smith? This is what I like. He likes to putt on POA. He can play in the wind. He is trending up, a couple little down, but, you know, still heading on the way up. You know, quite a bit of green here, around a green, the putter, you know, approach at times could be a little suspicious, it looks like. Let's look at the Genesis. So he's at a 6th place. That was 2018, but he missed a cut recently. Arnold made and a miss. WGC Mexico. He had a 6th place in 2019. So yeah, I got to put one more. There you go. And a 22nd in the 20s. He's just one of those guys, I think, that he really just shows up for the bigger events. Nothing. He's never played the Shell or the Houston. Okay. Played a while ago. So the Shell, the Houston Open, same thing. Just kind of funny how they don't have it the same. Now let's see what he did the PGA in 2019. So he made the cut, 64th. Duly noted. But I like Cam. Let's see. Ryan Palmer. So, of course, you know, he's been playing really well. A couple 4th place finishes. He had a 2nd place back here in 2018. I think I was watching in 2020. I think he was leading in round 2 or 3. I can't remember. But did not win the tournament. But it was a round leader at one time. From a putting perspective, Poa is showing from a split. And you got to look at the bars look significant, but it's 0.22. But can play in the win. Texas guy, right? Stroke gain going up. A lot of green. Has been better with the putter. That's what's been giving him success. As all. Let's go see at the Genesis. So best with the 24th, but he made the cut last year. The Arnold hasn't really had any recent experience there or tournaments. WGC Mexico. He's never played the WGC Mexico. Okay. Let's see the Houston. He's got to play the Houston. It's been a while. 2009. Huh, that's interesting. PGA 2019, missed a cut. Okay. Well, I still like him. I like his recent form. I like his game right now. And, it's one of those things that you can make the decision to fade him because right now his projected ownership is pretty high. But there's another reason, and I'll tell you a little more about why I think Ryan Palmer is definitely a good play out in a second. Adam Scott. So recent form, been okay. But he did have a second place in 2019 here. And you saw all the different things I pulled up. He's popped up past history at Bethpage Black. He is positive on POA. Can play in some wind. Stroke gain is on the way up. Solid tee to green. We all know he can get a hot putter or he cannot, which is quite a few of the guys. He won the Genesis last year. That I really like. I think that was his last win on the PGA. So, again, a great comp course, I think. Arnold Palmer, he had a third way back 2014. Missed a cut last year, though. We look at WGC Mexico, a 26th and a 45th. Let's see if he played in the Houston. Yeah, he won the Shell Houston. Might have been like his first win. I don't know if it was, but way back in 2007. But he had a 32nd recently at the Vivint. And that ain't going to work if I type that in. But if we type PGA in, he had an 8th place at Bethpage Black in 2019. So there you go. That is why I like Mr. Adam Scott this week. Corey Connors. Played here in 2018, had a 29th. Good form coming into this. If we go to Corey and take a look. So, of course, his putter is his biggest nemesis. Here he gets that. POA is not his favorite, but on the way up, tee to green, elite. It's around the green and putting where he tends to falter. Let's go take a look at the Genesis. Miscut. At the Arnold. Miscut. WGC Mexico. He had a 50th. Let's see at the Houston. So recently at the Houston Open, he had a 24th place. And then let's see what he did at the PGA 2019. Well, he made the cut, 64th. I just like his game. Again, when I think of guys that have to get off the tee, get on the greens from a distance, and he gives himself tons of opportunities. It's just if he makes them or not. Mr. Kokrak. So tournament history, solid. The WD kind of removed, but he's made 3 out of 4 cuts, and almost if he does make the cut, he's top 25 or better. Pretty decent recent form. He missed the cut at the Masters, the RSM, but we know he won at the the Zozo. I was confused. The CJ Cup and the Zozo. I mixed them together. POA is not his favorite. Trending up around the green where he typically struggles, but everything else looks pretty good. Yeah, the CJ Cup, not the Zozo. I apologize. Okay, the Genesis. So he had a 2nd place in 2016. Missed the cut recently, but, it's shown he's got good form on that type of course. Sorry, I don't know why that is coming up there. Arnold Palmer. So he's done well at Arnold at the API at Bay Hill. 18th recently, but he's at a 10th. He's at a 4th, a 6th. I like to see that. Let's see the Houston Open. Nope. I don't know why that is coming up. So the shell, so the 80th, so same thing. And then let's take a look. Did he play at the PGA? PGA 2019 at Bethpage Black, he had a 23rd. So I like that. So I like Kokrak. Right now, projecting ownership at 10%. All right, Emiliano Griot. Of course, we just saw him recently. Had a chance to do something at the Amex. And as you see, just fell apart. Shot 4 over. You know, again, it's the putter with him. But I'm picking elite ball strikers here, guys off the tee, guys that hit the irons really well. Just, you know, we need that putter to break through. Let's go take a look at Emiliano. So as you see, Poa not good, but can play in the wind. Stroke gain going up. Pretty green here, as we already discussed, but where he falters is around the green and putter. Let's go take a look at the Genesis. Miscut. At the Arnold, had a 7th in 2017, but it's been a little while since he's played there. WGC Mexico, 50 and a 50th. But didn't play in 2020. Which I don't know if they actually even played the WGC Mexico. I think they did. I think I saw their guys. Houston Open miscut. That's what he did at the PGA. 2019 had a 23rd. Just want to make sure because I felt like that was the same thing Kokrak had. So, again, long course, need to be accurate with long irons. I think it's a pretty good fit for Emiliano. Carlos Ortiz. So, I'm kind of hoping tournament history throws some people off him. As you see, projected ownership's like 6%. I think it's a great fit for him. Of course, he won at the Houston Open, which is one of the courses I'm using as a comp course. A lot of that's just about distance. I don't think they don't have Poa there, I'm pretty sure, but just some certain aspects of that course, I think that correlate. If we take a look at Carlos, what I really liked was he really likes to putt on Poa, and I think that's going to be a big deal. Now this wind, I mean, and again, that bar looks really, you know, severe, but, you know, we'll talk about the wind coming up here. But he likes Poa. You've seen this real strong increase here in his game, in his form. Pretty much green everywhere, except, you know, maybe a little bit on approach here or there. Let's go take a gander at the Genesis. So he had a 9th in 2019. So he's made the cut every time, and if he does, almost top 25 or better. So I like that. Let's look at Arnold Palmer. 2 out of 3, again, in the 20s if he makes the cut. WGC Mexico from his homeland. He made it a 16th place, which I think is a great comp course. So I like to see that. We already looked at the Houston. We know he won that recently. I mean, we could still go look to see. So, yeah, I mean, he had a 4th there in 2019. So, again, a good fit. And then I see the best PGA. He didn't play in PGA Championship in 2019. So, but I'm liking Carlos Ortiz. And last but not least, Luke List. This is a little different, but I think there's some things, and that's, you know, that's why I got to look for. I got to find the guys that hopefully not everybody's on, even though it says projected ownership is at 10% right now. We'll see how that all works out. But, you know, his recent form is not the greatest. You know, showed a little life at the Amex. But, you know, tournament history's solid. If we go to Luke List, one thing is Poa, you know, he's not a good putter. But at least it shows that out of all the surfaces, Poa is his least worst, I guess you could say. He can play in some wind. Stroke gain has been pretty solidly gaining. Of course, we talked about the putter. First we'll look at this. So Genesis, pretty solid outings when he plays at the Genesis. I think, again, great course comp. We look at Arnold Palmer. He had a 7th in 2018, a 10th in 2019, so solid there. WGC, no, played St. Jude, but not Mexico. The Houston, he missed a cut recently, but had a 28th the year before. And then the PGA, as I already mentioned, he had a 6th place at Bethpage Black, which I think, again, is the closest correlation. Now, again, that's a couple of years ago. But again, we know he can do it. And then if you look at the Corn Ferry, so his last tournament he actually won was on the Corn Ferry, but it was the TPC, their challenge or whatever. And I just was looking at Scottsdale. It is over 7,400. They must be playing two different courses, is what I'm getting out of this. I didn't go super into this, but hitting fairways is difficult. They're going to need to do that. Scoring a par is difficult. You can see he shot 12 under. Christoph Ventura, pretty good name. That hits the ball pretty good off the tee. But yeah, I think I'm not saying that's why I'm selecting Luke List. I think it's just one more point that he can play on this type of course. It's just, again, like a lot of these guys that are not. You're going to have to pick one way or the other, and I'm not leaning towards the amazing putters because I think there's so much that you need to do to get to putt on this course. So I'm like, give me the guys that can get to the green, and then let's hope they can do something with the putter. So that's kind of where that's fallen in. Okay, so with that said, let's go to see who I've got picked. So we've already went through these guys. So I got, for top 10 finishes, of course, I got Rahm, I got Rory, I got Reed. I think Cam Smith will get in the top 10, and I got Bubba. And I've already got some bets. I think I put a bet on Cam Smith and Bubba. I like those for outrights. Top 20 finishes. I like Adam Scott. I like Hideki. Carlos Ortiz, which, I think that might be a little off the cuff, but, if you're looking to put a top 10 placement or top 20 bet, I think he's someone to look at. I like Ryan Palmer to end up in the top 20. And Xander Shafley, again, I think if you want to differentiate a little bit from the field, you could start your lineups from a DFS side with Xander. I think it's still a great course fit. Why he's not had success here, no idea. And what's funny is he's local. He's from this area. He's not far at all from San Diego. So maybe that's it. Maybe he goes there and he's, friends and family. Who knows? That's interesting. I didn't really think of that. Corey Connors, the Canadian, I think he could definitely get in the top 30. Could even do better if the putter gets hot. Luke List, which you already know, ends up. Kokrak, Leishman, and Griot. So that's where I see these guys falling in. So if you are building your teams, you can, I think they're all usable, of course, in DFS for GPP. But of course, also from a betting perspective, you kind of got my thoughts on where I would bet them. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of weather. And I usually don't do this so early on, but I don't know if you heard, but on Monday there was some crazy 60, 70-mile winds that came through. They had to cancel the Pro-Am, and there was some, I don't want to say destruction, but some trees went down. They're cleaning up the course as we speak. The guys should be able to get out there and practice here shortly, if not already. But on that note, when I heard all that, I said, well, we probably should I just want to take a quick look, because as you start to think about placing your bets and start to build your lineups, weather can have effect. So we take a look at Thursday, and what I pulled up here again, if you're new, always use Windfinder. Don't try to use the Weather Channel or any of that. Download Windfinder. It's free, or online. You go to and type in La Jolla Pier. This is like right next to the course. So this is going to give you the most accurate, up-to-date information. So as you're doing showdown or anything that you want to keep an eye on the weather, that's what you need to do. So those are the first 2 days we can have some weather. Again, this is Tuesday at about 3 o'clock Eastern. So a lot could change, but I just wanted to give you the heads up. So what you see here is wind speeds is right here. And then you got the gust saying it could get to 23. We don't need to worry about that so much, but while they're playing, you're looking at, some wind. It looks like Friday could be the most. So 20 to 25 mile an hour winds during the event. So more note for showdown if you're day 2, but of course, keep an eye on it. And then the rest of the weekend, what it's saying, it looks good. So, not a lot of sun, maybe a little sun on this day, but you got some, also possible rain. But yeah, Saturday, Sunday should be fine. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't usually, like I say, go into weather this early, but just heads up. And then lastly, I put a show out yesterday, and I think you guys are going to find this very interesting. So go check it out if you haven't already. What I did is I've been wanting to know, because I play a lot of showdown, who's the guys that have been hitting the birdie streak bonuses since the start of the 2021 season. So that is after the Tour Championship, which started with the Safeway. And all the information I'm providing is up to the Amex, so it's up to date as it can be. And what it does is it's going through and just pointing out who has the best percent from a percentage-wise of hitting the 3 birdies in a row bonus, 5-point bonus, which if you add that up, it's 22.25 points. That's huge. So if you have a couple of those guys in your showdown, you're probably going to win that. But the big thing that came out of that, I don't want to steal a lot of the thunder, is that the guys that actually hit these birdie streaks make the cut 99.5% of the time. And that's kind of interesting because that could happen, you know, in round 4, round 3, round 2, round 1. You know, of course, if it happens in round 1, it kind of makes sense that they'd make the cut. But there was guys that, you know, of course, they'd have it like in round 2 and round 4. But anyways, I think it's very interesting. I think it's more kind of focused from a showdown perspective, but, you know, you can also look at it, and the way I look at it, if you're kind of between 2 different guys that you're thinking of rostering, you know, that could help you tip the balance to say, hey, you know, even in showdown, they could do it 4 times and it's 12 points every time they do it. Of course, it could be eagle, birdie, birdie. It could be hole in one, birdie, birdie, but minimum birdie, 3 birdies in a row, and they get the 5-point bonus plus the points they get for the birdies. I also tried to find this information all over the place. I couldn't find it. Maybe it's behind a firewall somewhere, but it's very difficult to do because, you know, if you go to PGAtour.com, and I mentioned this in the video, you know, they just tell you who's the guy who's got the most birdies in a tournament, in a round. And that's it. Like, oh, you know, Emiliano Griot had 6 birdies in a row at the Shriners. Well, that's great, but that's not what we want to know. We want to know by round how many times they hit the birdie streak bonus. And that's what I went and did. So it's only like a 13, 14-minute show, but I show you the top 30 guys and you get to see that. I would definitely check that out. And then my plan is to do also a bogey free one. So who's the guys that are constantly or consistently hitting the bogey free rounds. So anyways, that's it. I appreciate your time. It was a little longer than usual, so thank you if you stayed all the way to the end. If you are new, please subscribe. We are building a community. I'm giving you everything that I'm doing during the weeks. So everything I know, you know. And if you like what you saw, click like. And if you didn't, please hit you don't like and just tell me why, because I want to keep making this better for you guys. Share it with anybody that might get value. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up. Some people talk to me through, of course, YouTube, putting comments. But feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm at DFS Golf Guru. This could be a betting question. This could be, you know, a showdown question. I do check. I don't check it like hourly, but, you know, I try to check it once a day, twice a day. So, but I probably check almost the YouTube comments more. So either way is fine. And that's it. Let's have a great tournament. I will put out because you're probably asking where's the fades. I decided I'm going to put the fades and projections in my sleepers and the Wednesday show. So check me out tomorrow on that. And I'll talk to you guys later. And as you know, money won is twice as sweet as money earned. All the best of luck to us. You guys.